Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, we dive deep into the fascinating topics from around the world. Before we embark on today's journey, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss out on our weekly adventures. Let's dive right in. Egypt unearthed. Millennia of mysteries, pharaohs, and revolutions. Welcome to this journey through the incredible history of Egypt, a civilization that has captured the human imagination for millennia. From its origins along the banks of the Nile River, Egypt has been a cradle of innovation, a crossroads of culture, and a theater of pivotal events that have shaped not just the region, but the world at large. But Egypt is more than just the pyramids and pharaohs. Over the centuries, it has been a stage for invasions, occupations, and revolutions. From the Muslim conquest in 641 AD to the rise and fall of the Ottoman Empire, and even the brief but consequential invasion by Napoleon Bonaparte, Egypt has been molded by a multitude of influences. We'll begin by exploring the pre-dynastic period, when early settlements took root and agriculture began to flourish. In a time long before the splendor of dynastic Egypt, an epoch emerges, a period that would set the stage for one of the world's most captivating tales. Emerging around 6000 BC, the early inhabitants of the Nile River's fertile banks began to sow the seeds of civilization. These early denizens found the gift of the Nile, its silt-rich waters. With it, they turned barren lands into fertile fields, heralding the dawn of an agricultural revolution. As the land yielded its bounty, these primitive settlements flourished. Families grew, communities evolved. This wasn't just a shift in the food and shelter, it was the transformation of life itself. Stability birthed from sophistication. Hierarchies emerged, leaders arose. Distinct communities, each with its own pottery styles, artifacts, and burial practices, began to dot the landscape of the Nile. And as the centuries flowed like the Nile itself, these communities began to dance of unification, melding and emerging into larger cultures, setting the stage for an era of unparalleled grandeur. This was the pre-dynastic period, the foundational bedrock upon which the magnificence of pharaonic Egypt would stand. Amidst the vast deserts and the life-giving Nile, a transformative era dawned upon ancient Egypt. In the annals of ancient history, a few moments shimmer, such as significance as the early dynastic period of Egypt. In a time where division ruled, a vision for unity was conceived. The land of the pharaohs, rich with promise, stood on the cusp of an era that would etch its name in the sands of time. At the heart of this transformation was the unification of two realms, Upper and Lower Egypt. Central to this epic change stood a figure, Pharaoh Namar, whose ambition and vision would carve a path to history. Tradition tells us of Pharaoh Namar, the catalyst behind the monumental union. And in the annals of archaeology, one artifact bears silent testament to this tale. On an artifact, the Narmer Palette, a story of victory, ambition, and the symbolic merging of two worlds. With the unification under Pharaoh Namar, two regions became one. From this unity, a dynasty emerged. With the two realms now as one, the dawn of the first and second dynasties heralded an age of centralized governance, unmatched in its vision and vigor. The first and second dynasties began, an era of centralized governance, the growth of royal power, and state building unlike anything before. From this crucible of change, there emerged a clear delineation of royal power, pioneering the administrative structures and a cultural blossoming that would echo through eternity. This wasn't merely about power, it was the genesis of structures, the birthing of traditions, and the profound delineation of royal authority. These traditions, these innovations would chart the course for Egyptian civilization, leaving a legacy that would endure, inspire, and captivate for millennia. From the halls of governments to the sacred temples, advancements flourished. Culture and religion and tradition began their dance, weaving with the intricate tapestry of Egyptian civilization. This was the early dynastic period, the bedrock from which Egyptian civilization would ascend to its zenith, influencing the world for millennia. In a land where time met ambition, the old kingdom of Egypt arose, etching itself into history as the age of the pyramids. Amidst the sand and the timeless Nile, humanity's architectural genius began to unveil. From the annals of legends emerged a monument, a step pyramid of Djoser, a shift from the earth to stone, marking a revolution in the tombs of the eternal. Behind this marvel stood a visionary, the famed architect Imhotep, whose brilliance birthed an architectural era. This journey of stone and ambition led to the zenith, the Great Pyramid of Khufu at Giza, a marvel that outlived time, standing tall as the last beacon of the ancient world's original wonders. But the Old Kingdom was not just an era of stone giants. It was a time where governance and divinity intertwined. Pharaohs, the earthy embodiments of gods, ruled with unparalleled authority, casting a shadow of divinity over the land. An efficient bureaucracy, a well-structured hierarchy, ensured that resources, labor, and affairs of the state flowed seamlessly. This was the Old Kingdom, a period of architectural wonders, the social zenith, a chapter where ancient Egyptian civilization soared to its grandest heights. As the golden era of the pyramids faded into the sands of time, Egypt found itself on the brink of transformation, entering the uncertain phase of the First Intermediate Period. The pillars of civilized governments, once tall and unyielding, began to crumble. The pharaoh's grasp, once absolute, waned. Power, like the branches of the Nile, began to spread and diverge. Nomarchs, provincial leaders, now stood tall, asserting their autonomy, each ruling their domain as if it was their own kingdom. Lines blurred. The distinction between the royal and provincial became ambiguous as these nomarchs adopted the symbols and ceremonies once reserved for pharaohs. Power struggles ignited, ambitions flared. The land of the Nile became a mosaic of competing interests and visions, yet every fragment carries the seeds of rebirth. This era of disruption was but a prelude, paving the way for the dawn of a new epoch, the rise of the Middle Kingdom. From the ashes of fragmentation, the spirit of unity would once again emerge, beckoning Egypt towards another era of glory. From the echoes of fragmentation arose a new dawn, the Middle Kingdom, a beacon of rejuvenation and the unity of the annals of Egyptian history. Thebes stood tall, its heart pulsating with the political prowess and cultural vibrancy, marking a new epicenter for Egypt. In this era of Renaissance, the quills of scribes danced on papyrus, and the tales of the story of Sunuth became life, echoing the intricate tapestry of human emotion and ethos. Artists with the hands both deft and imaginative breathed life into stone and canvas, melding realism with idealism, capturing the soul of the Middle Kingdom. But the realm's aspirations were not just bound to art and tales. Pharaohs with eyes of gleaming ambition looked southward. Through conquest and strategy, the lands of Nubia were woven into the Egyptian tapestry, securing treasures and amplifying the kingdom's might. Through the tides of time, the Middle Kingdom pharaohs etched their legacy, as masterful rulers, as patrons of culture, as the architects of Egypt's magnificent Renaissance. Thus, amid the sands and the eternal Nile, the Middle Kingdom flourished, a testament to Egypt's indomitable spirit. In the vast timeline of Egypt, the Second Intermediate Period emerged as an era shadowed by external influence, yet illuminated by the brilliance of innovation. From the east, the Hyksos arrived, not just as conquerors, but as the harbingers of change. Avaris and the fertile Nile Delta became their stronghold. With them, the Hyksos brought the chariot, a marvel on wheels that would redefine warfare on Egyptian soil. The two-wheeled marvel, powered by the might of horses, showcased tactical brilliance, altering the face of battles. But the chariot was not their sole gift. Composite bows, sharper daggers, formidable axes became the new arsenal of the age. Tools of war, once foreign, were assimilated, learned, and mastered by native Egyptians. While the Hyksos reign was marked by foreign rule, the influence inadvertently paved the way for Egyptians' rebirth. From these intrusions arose an Egypt resilient, adaptive, and poised for unity. The land of pharaohs, ever adaptive, absorbed, evolved, and readied itself to pen the next chapter of its storied history. In Egyptian history, the New Kingdom emerges, an epoch where power and culture melded to reach an unparalleled zenith. With the dawn of the 18th dynasty, rulers of profound influence and autocracy graced the Egyptian throne. Akhenaten, bold and visionary, steered the spiritual ship of Egypt towards the sun god Aten, reshaping centuries of devotion. Temples once echoed the chants to mirrored deities, now sang praise to Aten, the singular radiant disk. Then came the young Tutankhamun, whose life, brief with a desert bloom, left an eternal echo through his undisturbed resting place in the Valley of the Kings. In the silent chambers of stone, treasures of unimaginable splendor whispered tales of the boy king's reign. And Ramses II, a titan among pharaohs whose reign stretched over 6 decades, sculpted history with treaties, campaigns, and stones. Under his gaze, Egypt's boundaries expanded and its influence resonated, making the kingdom an undisputed colossus of the ancient Near East. And as the sands of time flowed, the new kingdom engraved its legacy in stone, with Luxor and Karnak standing sentinel to an era of magnificence. These timeless structures, echoing the chants and stories, remain a testament to the pinnacle of Egyptian artistry and ambition. As the glories of the new kingdom faded into the annals of time, Egypt descended into the Third Intermediate Period, an epoch of fragmentation and foreign incursions. A once unifying realm, the heart of art and might, now fragmented into pockets of power, each staking its claim. From the golden sands of the south, the Nubians under King Pi cast their eyes on Egypt. Marching forth with a conviction and might, the Nubians forged a new chapter, establishing the 25th dynasty, and echoing an unprecedented shift in the annals of Egyptian rule. These kings from Nubia, while foreign in origin, sought to rekindle the spirit of Egypt. They stood as guardians of tradition and fervent patrons of the Egyptian ethos. The walls of the temples and palaces once again echoed with the tales of divinity and artistry, weaving the intricate tapestry of Nubian and Egyptian legacies. But the winds of the east bore a new challenge. The Assyrians, with their insatiable ambitions, set their sights on the Nile's treasures. Clashes of steel and valor, the Nile Valley became a theater of power plays, where the Assyrian might sought to eclipse the Nubian sun. In this dance of dynasties, the Third Intermediate Period laid bare a truth, that the land of the pharaohs were resilient in spirit, was now exposed to the tides of eternal influences. As the sun dips below the horizon, the future remains uncertain, yet the legacy of Egypt, ancient and enduring, whispers tales of timelessness. As the sands of time drifted, the late period of ancient Egypt unfolded, an era where power was a pendulum swinging between native pride and foreign dominion. The lifeblood of Egypt, the Nile, bore witness as shadows from the east descended, heralding a new chapter. Cyrus, the great successors, with their insatiable dreams of conquest, set their eyes on Egypt. In 525 BC, the land of the pharaohs was brought under a vast Parisian expanse. Under Parisian rule, the Nile Valley experienced new norms, new systems, yet beneath the surface, the heart of Egypt beat with a resilient rhythm. Even as they lived under Parisian dominion, the indomitable Egyptians yearned for the golden days of autonomy, and in moments of Persian vulnerability, they rose, hoping to recapture their lost legacy. The spirit of rebellion, fueled by nostalgia and hope, brought the Egyptians face to face with their occupiers as they sought to reclaim their narrative. But the late period was a dance of dynasties, moments of native resurgence punctuated by Parisian reoccupation. This ebb and flow, this intricate dance, spoke both synthesis and strife. As cultures intertwined, boundaries blurred, the stage was being set for yet another twist in Egypt's tale. The winds of change were blowing from the west, carrying with them young Macedonian conqueror. As the late period's curtains drew to a close, the horizon gleamed with the promise and challenge of the Greco-Roman epoch. As the sun set on one era, the dawn of another beckoned. Egypt, ancient and ever-evolving, awaited its next chapter. The Potomac period, Hellenistic splendor, and the last pharaoh. As the dust from Alexander's conquest settled, the horizon of Egypt shimmered with a new era, the Potomac period. A time of Hellenistic brilliance painted on the canvas of the Nile. From the heart of this period, the grand city of Alexandria emerged, a beacon of intellect, a tapestry of Greco-Egyptian marvels. Upon Alexander's passing, it was Ptolemy, his trusted general, who claimed the land of the pharaohs, a Greek at the helm of Egypt, but one who embraced the traditions and the mystique of the Nile. While Hellenistic customs flourished, the Ptolemies paid homage to Egypt's ancient rites, crafting a world where Olympus met the underworld, where Greek thought danced with Egyptian philosophy. But as the stars waned, the Ptolemaic sky shone brightly with its final luminary, Cleopatra VII, a ruler of charm, intellect, and ambition. She was more than just the last pharaoh. Cleopatra's reign was both romantic and political odyssey. Her alliances with Rome's mightiest, Caesar and Antony, were the symphony of passion and power, love and strategy. These alliances, laden with dreams and drama, wrote the final pages of the Ptolemaic chapter, a chapter that closed not with a whisper, but with a storm. The waves of the Mediterranean bore witness to the dynasty's climax, a naval clash of titans, and as the tides ebbed, the indomitable Cleopatra met her fate, heralding Egypt's embrace by the Roman Empire. The Ptolemaic sun set, making way for Rome's rising star. Egypt, with its millennia of grandeur, now stood at the threshold of yet another chapter, another epoch. After Cleopatra's final curtain call, the desert winds whispered of change. The mighty Roman eagle now cast its shadow over the ancient land of the Nile. With Roman sandals treading Egyptian sands, the Nile's bounty was harnessed to feed Rome's insatiable appetite. But as the Egyptians' political realm donned Roman robes, a profound spiritual metamorphosis stirred the hearts of its people. Whispers of a new faith, Christianity, began to echo in the shadows. As the centuries unfurled, the ancient gods watched as more and more Egyptians turned towards the cross. Yet in this spiritual awakening, Egypt carved its own Christian path. The Coptic identity emerged, intertwining Egyptian roots with the Christian doctrines. Distinct in liturgy and theology, Coptic Christians erected churches and founded monastic orders, sowing seeds of faith in the very soil once ruled by the pharaohs. This evolution of faith was not insular. As Egypt's Christians looked eastward, they found kinship with the Byzantine Empire, the grand bastion of Christendom. The bond between Egyptian Copts and the Byzantine flourished, signaling a shared destiny, a combined spiritual heritage. Yet this alliance also foreshadowed the approaching crossroad, where Egypt would soon meet the expansive Islamic world. With its ancient pyramids gazing upon Coptic crosses, Egypt stood at the confluence of time, poised to embrace yet another new chapter and a new destiny. In 1517, the desert winds of Egypt bore witness to the thunderous march of new empire. The Ottomans, led by Sultan Selim I, unfurled the crescent banners over the ancient land, subduing the formidable Mamluks. With the Mamluks' resistance quelled, Egypt became a jewel in the expansive crown of the Ottoman Empire, linked to the imperial heart of Constantinople. Yet, in the embrace of the Ottomans, Egypt's identity was either overshadowed nor erased. Instead, a dance of continuity and change ensued. While the sultans introduced their laws, and their tax collectors filled imperial coffers, Egypt's strategic might and fertile abundance were undiminished. Its heartbeat pulsed in the rhythm of the Ottoman drum, yet it danced to its own timeless tune. As centuries flowed like the Nile, the once iron grasp of Constantinople began to slacken. Egyptian leaders, sensing the ebb of the Ottoman might, dared to chart their own course, albeit under the watchful eye of the crescent moon. The landscape was evolving, with Egypt increasingly steering its own ship, even as it acknowledged the distant Ottoman captain. While the Ottoman influence dimmed, Egypt's horizon shimmered with challenges anew. The tendrils of European ambitions began to creep closer, beckoning Egypt towards another epoch, yet another new destiny. In the waning years of the 18th century, the vast Egyptian desert saw the rise of a new sun from the west, Napoleon Bonaparte. With ambitions as vast as the Sahara, set his gaze on the ancient land of the pharaohs. The golden sands of Alexandria and the historic alleys of Cairo soon echoed with French commands. Napoleon, the audacious general, did not come merely as a conqueror, but as a visionary reformer. Seeking to liberate Egypt with the grip of the Mamluk rule, Napoleon's canvas of change was vast. Legal reforms, architectural marvels, and administrative reshuffles marked the dawn of a new Egypt. But it was not just about the power, it was also about the knowledge. The winds of the desert whispered ancient secrets of Napoleon's entourage to scholars, and among the sands and stone they found a key to the past, the Rosetta Stone. But the shadows of other empires loomed large. The British with their naval might, and the Ottomans, with the memories of lost dominion, were not mere spectators to this French spectacle. The waters of the Nile became the theater of a great clash. As the British secured a crushing blow against the French, the Ottomans too mustered their strength, seeking to reclaim what was once theirs. Between the British canyons, Ottoman swords, and the will of the Egyptian people, the French sojourn began to crumble. By 1801, the mirage of lasting French Egypt faded into the desert horizon. Yet the echoes of these 3 years would resonate far and wide, entwining Egypt ever deeper with the intricate dance of empires. In the early 19th century, as the dust settled from the foreign boots, a new force arose from the sands of Egypt. Muhammad Ali Pasha, an officer of the Albanian descent, would sculpt Egypt's destiny for nearly a century and a half. An innovator at heart, Muhammad Ali's vision was clear. He dreamt of an Egypt modern and replenished, a beacon of progress in the heart of the Orient. Military academies, industries, schools, and fields laden with white gold, cotton. The Pasha's appetite for progress was insatiable. Yet Egypt's heart under Muhammad Ali didn't just pulse with the domestic dreams. It beat with the rhythm of conquest and expansion. And then, in 1869, the land echoed with triumph, not just of Egyptian spirit, but of the human ingenuity, the Suez Canal. This shimmering ribbon of blue, connecting seas and bridging continents, was Egypt's gift to the world. But it was also a magnet for global powers, drawing hungry eyes towards the heart of Egypt. The British Empire, with its insatiable hunger for control, cast a covetous gaze on the Suez and the land that cradled it. By 1882, the land of the pharaohs, while still echoing with the legacy of Muhammad Ali's dynasty, found itself ensnared in the trappings of another empire. Thus, as the Nile continued its eternal flow, Egypt stood at the crossroad of a legacy and destiny, with dreams of self-determination shimmering on the horizon. The rise of the Republic from Nasser to today. In 1953, the ancient land by the Nile witnessed a renaissance. The regal trappings of a dynasty gave way to the fervor of a republic, and a new chapter in Egypt's tale began to unfold. Emerging from the shadows of revolutions, a figure arose to lead the nation, Gamal Abdel Nasser. Nasser, with the fire in his heart, dreamt of a sovereign Egypt, free from external chains, a dream that led to the bold move of nationalizing the lifeline of Egypt, the Suez Canal. But this assertive stride was met with resistance. Global powers converged. Egyptian sands once again became a battleground. Yet, in this crucible of geopolitics, Nasser emerged not defeated but as a beacon of the Arab resistance. With Nasser's passing, Sadat took the helm, and the winds of change blew again. Peace overtures to Israel sparked both hope and isolation. Sadat's quest for peace earned both accolades and adversaries, his legacy a mosaic of triumph and tragedy. The torch passed to Mubarak, whose reign, the longest in modern Egypt, was a dance of progress and paradox. But in 2011, a gust from the Arab Spring blew, stirring the soul of Egypt. The clamor for change reached a crescendo. Leaders rose and fell, from the Brotherhood's Morsi to the military's LCC. Today, the Republic stands, informed by its storied past and gazing towards a bright and promising future. That's a wrap for today's exploration. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to continue adventuring with us, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Comment below what you'd like to discover next, and remember to subscribe for more mind-blowing content every week. Catch you in the next one, explorers.